After my last call with a client, we reached several conclusions I wanted to share with you before you buy a second passport. Let me explain every option available in the market in the middle of 2025, each with its pros, cons, prices, and estimated timelines. In his case, he wanted a Caribbean passport because he often visited those islands for business and enjoyed staying in the resorts that coincidentally participate in the citizenship programs. In the Caribbean, we have 5 main competitors active for over 30 years. Antigua and Barbuda, very good reputation. Dominica, bad reputation. Grenada, good reputation. St. Lucia, good reputation. And St. Kitts and Nevis with very good reputations. These 5 programs became popular because Americans who want to cut ties with the IRS and FATCA and stop paying taxes despite living abroad must renounce their citizenship, and to do so they need another passport. These Caribbean passports serve that backup purpose. Historically, these programs have had a solid reputation. They grant Schengen access, allow accounts opening in top-tier countries, and make it possible to apply for residency permits like the Golden Visa in Dubai, UAE, linked to the second passport rather than, for instance, a Venezuelan one. These programs usually offer 2 main options: donation and real estate. For the donation option, once you factor in legal fees and government charges, the minimum cost is around $270,000 to $300,000 with a time frame of under 1 year, as is the case in Dominica and Grenada. However, I wouldn't choose Dominica. It has the worst reputation among the 5, and in fact, this year it lost visa-free access to the UK and Ireland due to weak due diligence. When it comes to donation, you can expect to receive the passport in 6 to 7 months at best. Again, in countries like Dominica or Grenada. Grenada would be the most cost-effective option if you consider timing. It might cost $290,000 as a non-refundable contribution. Antigua, St. Kitts and St. Lucia may take up to 18 months, even 2 years. For the real estate route, the minimum is around $350,000 to $370,000 in countries like Dominica, Grenada, and Antigua. You will often see the property listed as $270,000, but then you will have to pay an additional $50,000 donation to the government, plus bank fees, legal fees, and agent commissions. And bear in mind, you are buying a share of a unit, not an entire unit. If you want full ownership, it may cost you around $500,000 to $600,000. Whenever my clients consider Caribbean real estate, I always caution them: don't fall in love with the property, please, because as you know, a hurricane can wipe out your hotel suite overnight. You must be very careful. Grenada has the fewest problems in this regard, and it lies further away from the Caribbean hurricane belt. For real estate, the minimum processing time for a passport is 12 months, but I wouldn't hold on to promise of getting it quickly. These governments operate in their own way. They might promise 3 to 4 months, but in reality, none of the 5 countries deliver that. Antigua, St. Kitts and St. Lucia can easily stretch to 18 to 24 months. There is another option in St. Lucia which involves a non-interest bearing 5 year sovereign bond deposit. After 5 years, you get the money back. The deposit is $300,000, but the total program, with all fees included, adds up to $400,000. This option can also take up to 2 years. Some real-life cases have already been waiting 20 months. Having laid out the 5 programs with realistic timelines and costs, we must now talk about their long-term future. In 2025, the European Union has attacked Malta's CBI program, the best purchasable passport to date, valued at €1 million more or less. They announced it was in its final days, and in fact, this same week we processed a client's payment and received a refund because the EU forced its closure through executive order. This clearly shows the direction these programs are heading. I see 2 possible outcomes. Either the prices go up to convince the EU to keep the Schengen access, or they lose Schengen access, which I think is inevitable within the next 2 to 10 years, and I hope I'm wrong. The EU doesn't want its citizens escaping with a second passport and then returning to the EU tax-free. We already see the trend. They want to extract every last euro from anyone living or holding citizenship from one of the 27 member states. By 2030, I believe they will introduce taxation by passport, just like the US does. That's my opinion based on how things are evolving. In the US, we are seeing increasing pressure on Caribbean citizens by investment programs. As I record this, the Trump administration is expanding the travel ban they imposed last week on Venezuelans and Cubans, extending it to 4 out of the 5 Caribbean programs. The only one that escapes is Grenada because it still has an active E2 treaty with the US and faces fewer penalties. The others might not even be eligible for B1, B2 visas if the ban is activated. So clearly, the pressure is mounting and pushing us toward one of the two outcomes I mentioned. From a banking perspective, if you have a significant funds to deposit, opening an account with one of these passports is still possible. However, it's getting harder, and if this passport loses freedom of movement and international credibility, you will find it much harder to open new accounts. In terms of residency permits, this week we were about to process a golden visa in Dubai for a client who donated $50,000. It got rejected because it was done with a St. Kitts passport, so we are starting to see rejections more frequently. Still, these programs can be suitable depending on your case. Each person needs to assess whether their 5, 10 or 15-year strategy still benefits from the passport even if it loses some advantages. Moving on from the Caribbean, let's talk about El Salvador. This program is quite simple. You donate $1 million, $1,050,000 total, and you get the passport in under 6 weeks. Given that cost and the fact that it's donation, I don't think this is the best first option. For that price, you could buy 3 passports, including a Caribbean one, and get better reputation and mobility. That said, El Salvador's government is currently doing things well, and if they continue like this, they may earn better travel access. Even if they sell passports, I don't think Schengen access will be revoked soon. It's not the same to revoke it from Grenada as from El Salvador, which is a forged country in global diplomacy. In Latin America, in most Spanish-speaking countries, you can acquire citizenship through an honorary donation or of around $500,000. These aren't official CBI's programs. Instead, their constitutions allow granting citizenship as a mark of honor to individuals contributing to the country in areas of national interest, known as citizenship by merit or exception. We have helped clients acquire such citizenship, and you may ask in what areas we have invested. It's a combination of contacts, government underserved sectors needing capital, of course, maximum of 12 months. It's achievable? Not easy, but due to the fact that these countries don't officially sell citizenship, only people with good contacts and knowledge apply. Fewer than 500 people per year do this, due to lack of awareness, capital, or access. In contrast, Caribbean programs issue thousands of passports annually and are known for it. Therefore, they are at higher risk of losing visa-free access. Now let's move to Europe. First, we must separate the European Union for non-EU countries. Personally, although EU passports are currently the strongest, I don't trust these governments or the EU as an institution. As a Spanish citizen by birth, I'm considering renouncing in the next 5 to 10 years if they impose restrictions like the digital euro, passport-based taxation, or invented wars driven by economic interests. So I wouldn't recommend an EU passport, especially if you are a high-level entrepreneur. They will come after you, your money, directly or indirectly. My client shares this view, which is why he didn't pursue Spanish citizenship despite qualifying. He spent 2 years in Spain, 9 months each year with a golden visa. He prefers to remain just a resident, avoiding future policies burdens. That said, for many unable to afford a second passport through donation, Spain remains one of the best options, especially if you are a Latin American person, because in 2 years you can get the citizenship, and also especially if they come from more unstable and insecure countries. Though Spaniards may complain, Spain is far better than Cuba or Venezuela. But for those avoiding Spain, like my client, we still have options outside the EU, such as Serbia, Albania, or Bosnia. Just like in Argentina and Paraguay, citizenship is possible through merit by making a contribution in a high-interest area. In these countries, the cost is usually $500,000 as a non-refundable donation. Processing time is under 1 year, and in all 3, your naturalization certificate is signed by the Prime Minister. If I had to choose among them, I would go with Serbia. Albania is likely to join the EU this or next year, and I would prefer Serbia over Bosnia. Serbia is an EU candidate, but it opposes EU membership and is also a BRICS candidate in the long term. What I like is that Serbia remains free, evaluating both blocks to decide or stay neutral as it has for decades. It doesn't have visa-free access to the UK, which is its main drawback, but tourist visas are obtainable and you can open bank accounts without issues. Serbia doesn't sell passports directly, it is not a high-risk country, it is not under sanction, it is not flagged by the OFAC, doesn't scrutinize every pound deposit. It's a strong option. You won't face the same questioning you get entering the EU with a Venezuelan passport or an Indian passport with visas, where they will always ask where you will stay, whether you have a return ticket, and what are your plans are. In fact, my partner holds both St. Kitts and Serbian passports. He was American, you can imagine the tax and reporting burden, and he uses his Serbian passport more often, even though St. Kitts cost him only $150,000 before the price hike over a year ago. ago. Now let's discuss Turkey. Their government offers an official citizenship by investment program, the most sold program globally. What I like about Turkey is that although official, it doesn't feel like a bought passport because it's a massive country with millions of citizens. No one suspects you purchase it. However, it doesn't offer Schengen access, so mobility is limited. But for me, it's not an issue because if you get a golden visa in the Schengen area as Latvia, as Portugal, as Greece, as maybe Italy, you have Schengen access, you have the mobility in South America and in Central America with the Turkey passport and Mexico, and also you have Asia and some parts of Africa. So you have with a golden visa the Schengen area and some parts of all over the world. Still, I like that it's not a donation but a real estate investment. You must invest at least $400,000 in Turkish property. You can sell after 3 years. Personally, I was in Istanbul this week with a Colombian client and our legal team. He received his passport after 10 months. The total cost was around $500,000, including legal and government fees. Finally, let's move to the UAE, like Serbia and Argentina. This is a citizenship by investment program. It's merit-based. As you may know, there are several paths to citizenship, but none are official or published. It all depends on your international profile, reputation, planned contributions in the UAE, and how much you are willing to invest. Then, the government decides whether you are of a special interest. In countries like Serbia, a mere €500,000 donation gets you a passport in under 1 year, but in the UAE, $500,000 is nothing. That might get you a 10-year golden visa, a gold card, or long-term residency. That's not what we are after. We want citizenship. According to our contacts, there are 2 routes. The first one, you have to live in the UAE, invest hundreds of millions, and have someone influential recommend you. The second option, make a direct donation to the government, at least $10 million. Some people live in Dubai for 20 or 30 years, do business there, and still never get citizenship. The government only accepts truly exceptional profiles, which in plain language means serious capital investment. Outside this option, there are other programs like Sierra Leone, Vanuatu, Nauru, Jordan, Egypt, Cambodia. However, these passports offer limited mobility, won't help with banking, and unlike to gain Schengen access anytime soon. That's not what my client is looking for, given the US travel ban, Venezuela restrictions, and the lack of reliability in his government. He needs strong passports to travel, conduct business, and access global opportunities. We only recommend these fringe options to clients looking to collect 5 or 6 passports, do business in those regions, or want as a plan B in case they need to flee somewhere remote with their family. If you need to choose any of these options, I recommend you to fill out the form in the description and we can take a look together.